I swear this is not an Arcade1up drama channel, but they keep doing it, and I think it's something we need to talk about it. Let's just get into it. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and before we get started, please hit that subscribe button, and if you like this video, be sure to click like and ring that bell for notifications. So, yesterday we talked about Arcade1up's big announcement that they were not going to be at CES for the first time in 4 years. That announcement was made on Michael B's stream. Let's just go take a look at it.
So I actually received a message directly from Arcade1up, and they gave me an update on what their plans are for CES. I hope you are doing well. I wanted to reach out and inform you that Arcade1up will not be announcing anything at this year's CES 2024. At this time, Arcade1up is focusing on not only delivering the highest quality, officially licensed at-home arcades on the market, but making sure that each product announcement is delivered with proper reverence and attention to detail. You should definitely look forward to some exciting news later on in 2024. We are looking forward to bringing more exciting arcade products to the community.
So there you have it. That's their big announcement, right? Basically says, we don't have anything to show, we're not going. So we made a video in response to that announcement, speculating about why they would miss this opportunity, what might be going on behind the scenes. And I think based on the chatter within the home arcade community, that drew some attention from Travis MCP. And for those who aren't aware, Travis MCP is essentially, I don't know how, I wouldn't call him an employee of Arcade1up per se, but he's definitely on the payroll, whether that's as an advisor or a consultant, or it's some sort of marketing agreement. He hasn't been real forthwith about what their arrangement is, right? But we do know he is getting paid by Arcade1up. Some of you may remember earlier this year when Travis MCP used to be an unpaid affiliate of Arcade1up, and he used to host their Arcade1up show. And he famously announced he was stepping down, that he didn't agree with the direction the company was going. He was upset with how things went. And so let's take a look back again on Michael B's stream, and I'll put links to these in the description so you can go watch these streams in whole. I encourage you to do so. Lots of great information in it. But let's take a look at what they were saying back then.
I was not paid for this. They teleported me there. In other words, yeah. I want to make sure that's very clear. I have not been paid for anything I've done for Arcade1up over the last however many months I've been doing this. And this is big and a big critical thing, because I think y'all don't understand like how much money I've lost doing this. A lot. If I were to charge a brand to do all the things I've done for Arcade1up, we'd be in 5 figures. Easy. Yeah. We would have been in 5 figures a long ass time ago, but we'd be deep into 5 figures right now. And I feel like I want to say that because of what I'll say later will hopefully make more sense. But what I'll say now is the reason why I did not charge for any of those live streams is because I knew the best way to get good answers out of Arcade1up for the community, because I've told this story before, how I overpaid for MVC, and I felt like we needed answers from these people because they're not giving us answers, was to dedicate my time to earning the trust of Arcade1up so that I could get the information and then share the information as much as I could with the community.
Right. So there you have his kind of announcement that, hey, I'm unpaid. I got into this out of passion because I really wanted to get behind the scenes with Arcade1up so I could bring the kind of transparency that the community needs, right? That a company like this can't keep being quiet about what's happening. They need to come forward and share this information. So I, Travis MCP, out of the kindness of my heart, am donating all my time because I love the company. And I agree, I think he does, or rather did at the time for sure. And wanted to see and do a service to the community, right? And so I share that with you because it'll become relevant soon. And so from that point, Travis announces on that same stream, hey, I'm stepping down. I don't agree with the direction the company is taking. And I just want you all to know, he's like, I hope Michael B takes over. And Michael B, you'd be perfect to host the Arcade1up shows, and would love to see you do that. Well, not too many days later, Michael B announces, hey, I am going to be hosting these streams. And joining him in that announcement is Travis MCP. To set this up, Travis is on and they're discussing the apparent reaction to the last video where Travis announced he was leaving Arcade1up. It was a discussion that centered around John D leaving the company, and he didn't like the direction that the company was going. So here is Travis's reflection on that stream.
I personally don't like it when anyone like loses their job, like just on a personal level. I just don't like that. There's something about it that just makes me feel kind of not good.
No, it's never good to see someone lose their job. There's no reason to celebrate that.
No, I don't think it's good. Having said that, you know, I've known about all this stuff for a good long time now, and it's all stuff that happened around the time that we did that show.
Yeah.
And then of course after that show, so that show was really interesting because after that show, I went to bed and I had a good time on here. You know, it was great. We talked about a lot of things, had a good laugh. It was great. And then I woke up the next day and I had a bunch of messages, which, you know, it's not necessarily unusual, but they were all about like Arcade1up, which I thought was really interesting. And I was like, what do they want? It must have been something I said last night. I guess they're pissed, but it didn't matter to me because I'm like, I'm out. So it didn't mean, sorry if you're upset. I mean, I know at this point, nothing you can do about it. And I'm like, okay, well, they said, oh, they want to talk to you. They want to make sure that you are not leaving because of something or other. I'm like, all right. I don't know what they're going to tell me that's going to make me feel like I want to hang out because, you know, I was kind of done. And then I had that conversation and it went exactly the opposite way that I thought it would go. And it was kind of surprising to me because ultimately, all the things that I think used to be a part of the some of the decisions that were the thing is, the one thing I don't know, which I'll just be transparent, is why certain things work differently now than they did back then. You could point to some things and go, it must be that, but I don't even know if that's true. The only thing I can tell you is it is a way different company now than it was just a couple of months ago, like astronomically different. And for whatever reason that is, and both you and B had calls, and you can say a little bit about like how you felt about it. Yeah.
Well, I went into it, you know, hopeful after talking to you, and I met with the people at Arcade1up. Basically, I talked to Cyrus and I talked to Davin, and you know, they really listened. They listened to what I thought could be different done in the community. They talked about what they wanted to see going forward, and it was interesting because like we were always under the impression that it's a company that doesn't really want to do things with the community, and it was very different. And I had a sense of that before going into this meeting because when was it? Was it when you guys were at the fighting place? What is it called? I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan. Evo. Yeah, so one night we were just messing around and we had Cyrus on the phone, and Cyrus thought it was like the coolest thing in the world that he had this group of, you know, YouTubers talking to him on the phone and he could ask him questions. He was like, I didn't know we could do that. So the call I had with Davin and Cyrus also continued that path, and it was good. I came back and I was like, this seems like a positive thing. I'm interested as long as it keeps being positive like this. Going forward, how is that going to be done? Is that going to be them, or is that still going to be us? How's it going to work?
What a weird situation. And a lot of it was last second. So first of all, I also want to acknowledge that the only reason that I was on the last show or even kind of come forward at all is because you and B told me that I should. I was like, I'm fine. I'm just going to be back in the shadows doing this stuff, trying to fix some stuff. But you were like, nah, you need to come forward. So I'm like, all right. You know, obviously one update is your show. And what I'm doing for them kind of specifically is it's all about, it all ends up being aimed towards the community, right? So everything I do has a community thing. And to be clear, like even most of today, when I should have been doing other things, like I have an entire sponsored video that's due this weekend, but instead of doing that, which I should have done, I was working on Arcade1up stuff because I know the stuff I'm working on is stuff that the community is going to actually really like and appreciate. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to balance this out, and tomorrow's going to be a grind day for me. No big deal. In the grand scheme of like, if you want to buy new products, who cares who's running it as long as it's being run correctly? And I don't think it's as important as some people think. It's important that whoever's in charge, I don't care what their name is doing the right thing. Not that it's this person that you've always known about or this person. That part's irrelevant. It's like, are we going the right direction? If so, cool.
Yeah.
The rest is like, who cares? Like, who cares?
Exactly. So I hope that this is a fresh new direction for Arcade1up, in the sense that a lot of the issues that were happening before now get brought to the forefront, and they're going to work harder to make a better product that people are going to be reliable to, and make sure that the community is happy. That's my hope. Like, there's still
I'm a smart guy. I'm a smart guy. I would not have gotten into this if I thought that there were things that I wouldn't be careful with or wouldn't feel comfortable with, which is why I had you and B, and B's critical about stuff, go behind me and go, listen to what's being said. Tell me if I'm hearing it right. I didn't just do this by myself. Like, I'm super smart. I know exactly what I'm doing. I deal with corporations that are much larger than Arcade1up on a weekly basis. It's not a big thing to me. So trust me, I got this figured out. And as a matter of fact, like, there were things that I said that I was like, listen, I'm not going to do any of this unless I have some things in writing.
Yeah.
And I have things in writing. So I'm not worried. I understand, like, from the outside looking in, it's kind of hard to know. I have it in writing. I'm not worried about anything. So you shouldn't be either. You should be excited because the things that are going on at this moment, and listen, I can't speak for 4 months from now. I can only speak about right now. The things that are going on right now are very exciting.
Lot to unpack there. So first off, right, Travis is immediately recruited following that stream to come back to Arcade1up. He signs a contract, gets it in writing, as he says. Not trying to insult Travis. He's clearly an intelligent guy, right? Has a successful YouTube channel. He's been able to navigate that. You don't do that when you're a dummy. But when somebody starts prefacing their comments with, I'm a smart guy, he's trying to give you like an air of authority that maybe he doesn't necessarily feel like he actually has. He has to convince you why you should listen to him. That's always problematic for me. But, like I said, I think Travis went into some of these things with great intentions. Since then, it's clearly something has changed. And so, last night he pops on to the Cornercade, Danny at the Cornercade's live stream, and really, Travis has a pattern of this, right? Somebody will be live streaming and he'll want to jump on for 2 or 3 minutes to address some of the rumors or talk that is happening in the home arcade community, specifically around Arcade1up. So naturally, Danny's doing a live stream the night of their announcement about not attending CES, and out of the blue, Travis wants to jump on and talk about it.
Well, dude, you guys are professional. Nothing but the best, dude.
But right, Travis, we got like 3.5 minutes, and then we're talking about April. So we got until 6:50. So get him.
Okay. Well, hey, explain yourself. I don't know. I don't work for 1 hour.
I don't explain nothing. I'm here helping you out. I ain't got nothing to explain. Explain myself. What do you think this is?
So you were listening to the stream, correct? Or
yeah, I heard part of it. Yeah.
Okay. So don't you find it a little odd? Like, Arcade1up didn't come out with you, maybe Mike B, and say, hey, this is what's going down. This is what's happening. Don't worry, guys. We can't make it there, but we got something special planned for you. Just wait.
I think that's exactly what they said.
Did they?
Yeah, they literally said we can't. That's what they said, right?
Okay, we have to stop right there. Clearly, that is not what they said. They were pretty clear that they said, hey, we don't have anything ready, and we are not going to be able to show up to CES. They said they were working hard to make things better, and a whole bunch of corporate nonsense for why they weren't going to be at CES. But in no way did they say they have something really exciting right around the corner and all this stuff. So right away, there's your first bit of just straight up cover for what was said, right? Trying to spin, as people do, right? Spin the news. This is a positive thing. So let's get back to it.
They wanted to bring like a better production, but not
Right.
like there
So
was going to
that is
be.
an actual thing. And I actually had a conversation with someone very high up in Arcade1up about this very recently. Yeah, if I had to throw an idea at the vote, that's probably 90% of the reason why you're not seeing them there. And I know it sounds silly, but it's actually a big deal.
Mhm.
They got a lot of criticism over those sale videos that they weren't expecting, and people wanted something better, so now they want to give something better, and the community's like, oh, they're going out of business, bro. They're trying to give you what you asked for. What are you talking about? What's wrong with you?
All right, so here we go again. OTG brings up, hey, why didn't they just say they were trying to get a better production? And Travis latches onto this, right? Clearly that wasn't what he'd planned to say. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. And this is where he then turns around and blames the home arcade community for why they're not going. So I have no doubt within the company, there's discussions about the criticism of Cyrus's I just turn a phone on in my office and record myself talking about sales standing in front of these things. I'm sure they want to up their production when it comes to their YouTube content that they're delivering. Why wouldn't they? I mean, clearly it's criticism. What does that have to do with their attendance at CES, right? It's not like when they go to CES, they set up some big giant booth and then have this big dog and pony show. No, like CES 2021 wasn't even in person. So they did all those announcements digitally. CES 2022 was the first return to in-person after COVID for CES, and not everybody went in person. And Arcade1up was one of those. They still did a big CES announcement and drop at CES, but they didn't actually go to CES. CES 2023 last year is when they finally returned, and they didn't go get a big booth, right? They didn't have a big production show. They rented a suite and set up their new cabs and invited not only media to come take a look, but they invited YouTubers to come take a look and have out. And nobody criticized that production other than the fact that this big new Wheel of Fortune cab that they were showing to media wasn't available to the YouTubers, which was an interesting twist. But that nobody criticized that because they were there to show their products, and nobody criticized that. Nobody's criticized when they showed up to Evo and partnered with Capcom to show their arcade, the Street Fighter 2 HS5. Nobody really criticized their performance and demonstration when they were at San Diego Comic-Con there with Kith showing off their limited edition MVC2 Kith collab cabinet. Nobody criticized their appearance with Atari showing off the Atari 50th and other cabs, and for the life of me, I can't remember what show that was at. So it's not like Arcade1up doesn't like shows. As Travis mentioned earlier, right, at this point, Scott had been gone for a while. John D was gone. The new leadership has been running the company all year in 2023, it appears, or at least the vast majority, and they've been going to these shows, no problem, showing these things off. And those demonstrations, those appearances were never criticized. The only thing they've been criticized is their videos, because they are of recently really, for lack of a better word, half-assed, right? And so that fine, right? I'll concede that they want to get their videos better, but seriously, that's not why they're not going to CES, and you'd be nuts to believe that that's the case. And so here we just see Travis latching on to the opportunity presented by OTG as to give another reason why they aren't there, and he gives more.
A lot of people don't understand how expensive CES is. CES is stupid expensive. And as a matter of fact, all these gaming conventions are. Like Sony pulled out of, what was it, E3 years ago. Microsoft was like, nah, we ain't doing that anymore. They don't need to. They just do live streams. They don't even need to go to these conventions. For what?
I think when you're a new company and you want to put your stuff out there, but if you've been in the business already and you already have a following, there's no reason to, especially for CES.
you can't afford to go to CES. It's $20,000 just to put a booth up without anything.
That's
And that's not
insane.
shipping. No, hold on. That's not shipping anything. That's not having your people there. That's $20,000. Give me money. You get a 20 by 20 space. That's it. Then you got to pay for everything above that. Internet, hotel space. Like, it's stupid expensive. So the reality is Arcade1up could spend $60,000, $70,000 at CES to say things they can do on an internet stream, or they could spend $60,000, $70,000 in R&D and patches and updates and all that other stuff, and then just do a live stream. Quite frankly, if they ever had asked me, should you go to CES, I would tell them no, because it's a dumb, stupid waste of money. I, as a tech YouTuber, don't even go to CES anymore. It's too expensive for nothing. Like, there's no reason. If you've ever been to CES, it's amazing, but it's all types of stuff that you'll never see come out. There's like robotic tractors and like vacuum cleaners that are like scratch your nuts and like things that'll never happen, right? It's amazing. An actual company that's putting out products shouldn't be there, especially a small. Everyone thinks Arcade1up is big. They're not. They're actually really small. They're stupid small. Yeah. It's not a good use of their money. It just isn't. And I understand that people are used to seeing them there, but last year they were in a hotel. Like, how much more ghetto do you want them to be? Like, if they were in a hotel again, would like to be at the Motel 6 showing off some new cab. Like, are you guys gonna be happy with that? No. So what is everyone complaining about? They're literally trying to up their game, and people are like, they're going out of business, bro. Come on, are you serious?
All right, once again, we have to talk about this, right? So they've never had a big giant booth. I mean, maybe they did in 2020, I don't know, but they didn't the last 3 years. You don't have to have a big giant booth to be at CES. In fact, it's super common. What was the last big show? Stern, I can't remember what show that was, right? But Stern was there. Were they in the show? No, they rented the lobby of a hotel next door so people could go over to that hotel, and that may have been the San Diego Comic-Con, right? Stern rented the hotel lobby and people were able to go in and check out their stuff, so they didn't have to pay some big giant absorbent fee to be in the actual show itself. This is common, and that is what Arcade1up did last year. And guess what? It doesn't cost $20,000 plus hotel plus all this. Yeah, it's a hotel and somebody's time. It's shipping to get the products out there so that they can be on display. But you're talking a suite. Let's say you get a really nice suite in Vegas. What, $1,000 that night? $1,500 maybe. I mean, sure, they could go really crazy, which they didn't, and get some presidential suite that cost maybe $5,000 for the night. Or more, depending if you're super wealthy again. But they didn't do that. They got a typical suite that they could set up those 4 things, and maybe they just rented one of the empty ballrooms, which is roughly the same. So first of all, that's just a total misnomer that they had to go pay $20,000 for a booth. They've never done that. And I would argue that even if you paid $20,000 for the booth, even if you flew your employee out there, from Miami to Vegas for $500 round trip, even if you put that person up into a hotel room for $500 a night, right? You're still well under $30,000. Of course, they'll want decorations and all that stuff, but we already know they have backdrops and some of that stuff, and you have to get that stuff out there. So we probably get, let's say it's $30,000, $35,000 to put on that show. We also know, as we've discussed previously, they got all kinds of free advertising out of that, right? You get covered by CNET. You get covered by all these tech bloggers. You get covered by all these technology publications. You get hits on the nightly media that are running like all these updates on CES. Oh, look what was at CES. Here's this, that, and they get all this media attention that they don't ever get the rest of the year, right? That they can't get from any YouTuber or live stream. And so to act like it's a total waste of money is just not true, right? Why doesn't Sony go? Because they're a multi-billion-dollar company and they put on a giant production and everybody covers it because, again, they're a giant company. Why doesn't Microsoft in the last real years of E3, which hasn't really existed in like 4 or 5 years at this point, they would set up their whole second show and have people go to their facility and do a big live production. I mean, these giant corporations put on their own massive show. So to compare Arcade1up, which is this mid-sized company, and they are not small. Let's be realistic. Small is Numbskull. Small is New Wave Toys that have 5 or 6 employees, and they're doing these things. Arcade1up signs multi-million-dollar licensing deals with companies like Capcom and Mortal Kombat and Disney. They have products in Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Nebraska Furniture Mart, all over Amazon, which that's not such a big deal because anybody can put their things on Amazon. As seen on TV, they have all these relationships. They sell in Canada, they sell overseas, but they are not small by any stretch of the imagination. They're not huge, right? They're a mid-sized company. And I don't know what their employee count is, but I guarantee you it's bigger than what these other companies are. And so to pretend like, oh, they're too small to go, they can't afford to go, hogwash. They went to like 4 different conventions this year, at least. And to go set up in a hotel in Vegas is not very expensive. And so that's a complete misnomer. And I just don't buy that 1 second, right? Especially with the amount of publicity they get out of it. They have no better reach than the publicity they get from CES to the average consumer. Whether it's My Arcade can go, for crying out loud, like Arcade1up can go. And My Arcade makes those crappy little plastic versions of games, and they have their crowd, they have their supporters. But if they can go, certainly Arcade1up can go. So cost isn't a factor. It's relatively inexpensive. They don't put on a giant production like Sony and Microsoft and all of them do that are spending millions of dollars to be at these conventions and figured, hey, if we can do a better production show online than we can going out there to do it. It's apples and oranges. So you can't fall for that explanation. It is just doesn't hold water.
Just there's a lot of little things why people are worrying, I guess. But
I get that. And you're right, OTG. You're 100% right. And the other thing is, like, so much of this stuff gets decided on the fly, like within days. They'll have one decision one week. It'll literally be a completely different decision the next week, and that's unfortunate because there's no like. You guys should be happy they're not more transparent. Once upon a time, I was like, they should be real transparent. Let me explain something to y'all. You do not want them to be transparent because your head would be flopped 6 different ways from Sunday. So I literally saw something in person that excited the shit out of me, and I have no idea if it's going to come out. But I saw it in person, and I wanted it. And I have no idea if it's coming out.
So now Travis is saying, oh, you don't want them to be transparent. Even though that's the entire reason he says he's working with Arcade1up, and that he did so for so long on his own dime for no money, that he thought they needed to be more transparent. Now, nope, you don't want transparency. Transparency is awful. I mean, has there ever been a time in history where transparency wouldn't have been better? No. And so, seriously ridiculous premise. Like, you don't want them to be transparent. I mean, come on. That's all we want is transparency. People will understand. I mean, it's an age-old adage. If you tell people what's wrong and you own up to it, people will give you the benefit of the doubt. People will support you. All they want is you to be honest with them. To claim, again, that you don't want to be transparent is just hogwash. And he harkens back to way back a long time ago, like what, way back 8 weeks ago when you were saying how it's a whole new company, they're being run completely different and how great it is. And that's why you're engaged in going back to work with them, because they're really showing how tentative they're going to be now and how they're going to do all these things. It just doesn't add up. That you're contradicting yourself. Like 8 weeks ago wasn't a long time ago. It seriously. I mean, come on. Like, I'm speechless with that. Honestly, I'm just totally speechless with that.
So you just have to understand that, like, there's so many things going on in the background that we're just not aware of, that you can't make assumptions based off of things they never said. So they never said they were going to be there. I said they might be there in like a hotel room or something, but they never said that. So to get upset with them for something they never said they were doing in the first place is a little bit odd. Sure, they had been there for a couple of years, but they never said they were going to be there this year.
All right, so here we go again. Right, he prefaces this last set of comments with, "You don't want them to be transparent." Then he criticizes the community for making assumptions about the company and what they're doing with what little information is available. How can you not make those assumptions when they're not being transparent? They're not telling you. Here's what we know has been going on in the last year. One, they shut down the Miami storefront, right? They make a claim, hey, it was always meant to be just a pop-up shop, but it's up for over a year. Two, they let go of John D. and they let go of their CEO. They don't make any official statements about it. And after months of speculation, they kind of address it in a live stream with a question or a comment where they just leave it at that. They mention their CFO and their CTO are now acting co-CEOs. That's it. That's been the only statement they've ever made. They have gone and participated in CES for 5 straight years, and are 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. And so the community naturally assumes they're going to be at 2024 because it's been a huge part of Arcade1up's release cycles from the beginning. So how can you blame anybody from not assuming? I think on top of that, you had B Kong, who Travis references multiple times in these videos about B Kong and having him and Michael be working with Arcade1up on these announcements and some of these events. So B Kong, Justin Console Kits are returning to CES largely to meet with Arcade1up, right? And for the first time, 19K Fox, all planning and confirming they were going to head out to CES, all with the intention of really getting into Arcade1up. Sure, they want to see the other things and the other companies, but it's primarily to go see the new stuff from Arcade1up and produce content from their channels. For them, Arcade1up backing out is likely going to cost them money. They may still go, they may not. We'll have to wait and see. Come on. Like, I was born, but I wasn't born yesterday. These excuses are weak. And the simple fact is that Arcade1up not going to CES is another sign of weakness in the company. They seem to do, and Travis seems to confirm this, they seem to just be gut reacting to things. And when you're reacting and you're not being proactive, you're playing defense. And when you're playing defense, that's not a good place to be in for a company. This company should have a well thought out strategy and goals for where they want to be, a strategy for how to get there, and tactics to make it happen. And sure, no plan survives first contact, but you have got to be much more well thought out than apparently they are. All signs of mismanagement and trouble within the company. Maybe they're making their payments. Maybe they're able to service their debt. And the rumors that we've heard from somewhat reliable sources that they are having problems aren't true. But they have yet to give us any indication that that's reality. And so for a paid representative of Arcade1up to come out and blame the community for why Arcade1up isn't going to CES is laughable. It, quite frankly, it's insulting. It's Travis is better than that. It's disappointing to see Travis say that. I'm a big fan of Travis. I like his content. I like the stuff that he does. I like some of the other companies he's affiliated with. But this is just below him, and it's below Arcade1up, and they really need to be more forthcoming. They need to tell the community what's going to happen, or they're going to continue to feed rumors and discussions like this. So I don't really have anything else to say. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, have fun.